Have you ever thought about growing your wealth the same way a forester grows a forest? It's not about those quick wins. It's really about patience, consistency, and, well, cultivating something that's going to last a lifetime. Today, we're going to dig into how we can apply those timeless ideas to our own finances and see how to turn simple spare change into something that can really truly grow. It's kind of surprising, but forestry experts will tell you that the most valuable piece of land on a farm isn't always the big cornfield. Nope. A lot of the time, it's that overlooked patch of woods, just quietly growing in value year after year. And that one idea right there is the key. Small, consistent growth, even in a place you're not really looking, can build incredible value over time. And this, right here, this gets to the heart of the mindset. Unlike a regular crop, a forest doesn't give you a weekly paycheck. It demands a long-term view. It's all about planting seeds right now for a harvest that might be decades away. And that is the exact philosophy behind smart investing. So, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with that core principle of growth. Then, we'll dive into how micro-investing actually works and see how a portfolio gets built for you automatically. After that, we'll look beyond the basics, weigh the pros and cons, and then we'll wrap it all up by coming back to that all-important long-term view. All right, let's jump in. Section 1, the principle of growth. So what's the biggest lesson we can take from the forest? It's pretty simple, actually. Real, lasting value isn't created overnight. It comes from these small, consistent efforts that just compound and build on each other over time.
And that leads to a really cool question. What if you could take that same steady, patient, hands-off approach and apply it to your money? Well, it turns out that's the exact idea behind a company called Acorns.
So how does this actually work in the real world? That brings us to Section 2, how microinvesting works. This is all about planting those first tiny seeds, a lot of the time without you even noticing it's happening. The folks who started Acorns figured something out. For a lot of people, the biggest thing stopping them from investing isn't a lack of money, it's just being totally overwhelmed by all the choices. It's that decision paralysis. So they solved it with this concept called microinvesting, which is just a fancy way of saying you invest tiny bits of money regularly so you never have to overthink it. Their signature feature is called Round-Ups, and it really couldn't be easier. First, you just link the credit or debit cards you already use. Second, you just go about your life, buy your coffee, get your groceries. Third, Acorns automatically rounds up every purchase to the next dollar. So if your coffee is $3.50, Acorns sets aside that extra 50 cents. And finally, once all that spare change adds up, it gets invested for you, automatically. So how much spare change are we talking about here? When does it actually get put to work? Just $5. That's it. Once your roundups hit that $5 mark, Acorns swoops in, grabs the money, and puts it right into your portfolio. It's basically investing that happens in the background of your life. And really, this comment from a Reddit user just says it all. They said, honestly, I never noticed the money leaving my account. And that's the magic of it. The whole process is so smooth that you end up building a solid investment habit without using any willpower. It just happens. Okay, so all this spare change is getting collected. Awesome. But where does it actually go? And that's what Section 3 is all about, your automated portfolio. This is how Acorns takes care of those little financial saplings for you. Let's go back to our forest for a second. A good forester doesn't plant just one kind of tree, right? They plant oaks and maples and pines, so if a disease hits one species, the whole forest doesn't collapse. Well, a smart investment portfolio works the exact same way. Acorns builds you a diversified portfolio, a mix of different things, to help protect your money from the wild ups and downs of the market.
And the way Acorns does this is by using something called ETFs, or exchange-traded funds. Now, the easiest way to think about an ETF is just as a basket. And inside that basket are tons of different investments all bundled together. So instead of trying to buy one single stock, you're buying a tiny piece of many, many things all at once. It spreads out your risk instantly. And here's the best part. You don't have to manage any of this yourself. Acorns acts like your personal robo-advisor. It asks you a few questions about your goals, then recommends one of 5 different portfolios, from conservative to aggressive. Then it automatically keeps that portfolio balanced for you, and it even reinvests your dividends to help your money grow faster. It's a true set-it-and-forget-it system. But what starts with just a little spare change can really grow into something much, much bigger. So in Section 4, we're going to look beyond the basics to see how Acorns has built out a whole financial ecosystem. Yeah, Acorns isn't just one thing anymore. It's a whole system. You've got the main invest account, sure, but there's also Later for retirement, Early so you can invest for your kids, a checking account that comes with a debit card, and even Acorns Earn, which gives you bonus investments just for shopping at places you probably already shop at. It's really designed to be an all-in-one place for your money.
So with all these different features, you gotta ask the big question. Is it the right choice for you? Section 5 gets right to it. Is Acorns worth it? Let's break down the good and the not so good.
On the plus side, the number one pro is obviously that effortless automated investing. There's no minimum to start, and you get a professionally managed, diversified portfolio without lifting a finger. And having all those other services bundled together is super convenient. Now, on the flip side, the flat monthly fee can feel a little steep if your account balance is still pretty small. It also doesn't offer some of the advanced tax strategies you'd find elsewhere, and you don't have a ton of options to customize your portfolio.
So who is this really built for? At the end of the day, Acorns is an absolute home run for two groups of people. First-time investors who feel intimidated by the whole process, and frankly, anyone who's ever struggled to build a consistent saving habit. It just automates the whole thing, turning a chore into something that just happens. And that brings us to our final section, and right back to where we started, the long-term view. This is where we see the true power of all these small actions combined over time. This is how we get from acorns to mighty oaks. So what does that look like in real life? What's the potential here? Honestly, it's staggering. One analysis showed that if you invested just $5 a day for a child from the day they were born using an Acorns Early account, that account could grow to over $60,000 by the time they turn 18. That is the magic of compounding, turning little bits of spare change into a serious nest egg. Which brings us full circle, doesn't it? That old saying is true. Mighty oaks from little acorns grow. The single most important step in building a forest, or a fortune, is just planting that very first seed. So the real question is, what will you start growing today? If you're ready to see just how easy it can be to turn your own spare change into a growing portfolio, you can plant that first seed right now. Just tap the link to open your Acorns account and get started on your own financial forest today.